A security camera that can not only detect motion and record videos, but it can automatically track and zoom in on whatever's moving. Today it's my review of the Reolink TrackMix LTE. Welcome back to my channel and to a brand new release from Reolink. This is their 4G TrackMix camera. Now this camera can pan and tilt, and it has the ability to automatically track the subject as it walks or drives past the camera. Has lots of other features like dual lenses, one widescreen and one telephoto to give you that zoomed in look. Lots of other features. I'm going to do a quick unboxing, show you what you get with this package. It comes with a solar panel to power it, which means you have no wires to run, and of course it runs on the 4G cellular network. I'm going to mount it here in my property and I'll show you exactly how it works. I'll show you sample videos that this camera records, and then in the end I'll give you my final thoughts, the pros and cons as I see it after actually using this camera. So let's get into the unboxing. So it is the Reolink TrackMix LTE. It's a pan and tilt camera with lots of different features. You can pause this right here and check out some of the specifications. Inside here we have an information packet. Here is the actual camera. Take a closer look at that in just a second. But it also comes with a USB cable for the initial charging. Has some mounting bolts and screws here, various sorts. Also comes with a white strap if you choose to strap it onto a pole or a post. It has an additional mounting bracket here, and I believe that's compatible with that strap. So let's take a closer look at the camera itself. It has some protective coatings on the lenses here. It does have dual lenses. One of them is going to be a wide angle lens and the other one's telephoto. It's going to give you a very zoomed in look. And with the Reolink app, you'll be able to join these two views and also use AI features. Has dual antennas here mounted on both sides of the unit. Not sure if you can tell, but it's a rather large camera, especially compared to any other Reolink camera that I've previously used, and I've had almost every model that they've had. This is the largest camera yet. It has some heft to it also. On the back it has this mounting bracket that's already attached permanently. Of course, you have different mounting screw options here. This bracket can both be mounted to a ceiling or to a wall or post. On the bottom of the camera, you have a couple of screws to take out to put in the micro SD card, and you also have to supply your own SIM card. Of course, this camera moves almost 360 degrees around in a circle, and you also have, of course, the tilt feature. So I'm going to fully charge this internal battery to give this solar panel a head start. I'm then going to activate the camera and mount it here in my property and put it to use. All that coming right up. First thing I wanted to touch on, and I already mentioned it, is its size. It is considerably larger than any other Reolink camera, or at least any other that I have used. And in fact, I've directly compared it to the Keen Ranger, which is also made by Reolink. The Keen Ranger is the same size as the Go PT or the Go PT Plus. And as you can see, it's probably twice the size, and I would say twice the weight as what those cameras are. The solar panel is also considerably larger. Again, it might be close to twice as big as the solar panel that comes with the Go PTs and the Keen Ranger PT. Now this camera is packed full of features, and I'm going to quickly touch on a lot of those, but then I'm going to spend the majority of my time with the auto tracking feature. After all, that's probably the most amazing thing about this camera, that it can automatically track and zoom in on people or cars or pets as they go past the camera. But let's start with a quick overview of some of the features. This is an LTE camera. Now they do make this in a Wi-Fi and a power over Ethernet, I believe, but I'm going to be specifically focusing on the LTE. That means it runs on a cellular network and you have to supply the SIM data card. I prefer the EIOT Club. It is compatible with this camera. It gives me great service, and that SIM card selects from several different carriers in your region, picks the most powerful signal, and operates this camera. I'll place a link down in the description to EIOT Club. I definitely prefer it in all of my Reolink cameras. When you have your SIM card installed, you can simply power the camera on. Then it's time to mount the camera and the solar panel, and you're good to go. Now this camera, because it is a cellular camera, does not record 24/7. That would simply take too much data and too much battery. Instead, it's in standby mode until it sees motion in front of it. When it detects motion, it begins recording the video and sends you a near instant notification that there is action. You can then either log in and watch that action live through the app, or you can watch recorded events that have already occurred through the app. Now this camera not only records that video and sends you that near instant notification, but if you choose, you can also have this camera sound an alarm when it detects motion. You can also custom record a message to have played anytime this camera is triggered. That makes this a great option for a security camera. This camera also features two-way audio. Not only can you hear what the camera is hearing and seeing, you can talk through a microphone that's on this camera. So you can simply open up your app. If somebody's standing in front of this camera, you can hold a conversation with them. You can hear what they're saying, and you can speak through the app on your smartphone, and the speaker will give your voice and they can hear what you're saying. So that's another great feature that this Reolink TrackMix offers. But now let's talk about this tracking feature. As you may have seen as I was talking, this camera has been moving and following my movements. I have this mounted on my farm as a security camera. Here's some sample footage that this camera has taken over the past couple of months. So as you can see, the camera did its job over the past 2 months. It truly does have some amazing clarity in its video. It's the clearest video of any other security camera that I have. Another thing you may have noticed is it's a bit jerky when it moves. It quickly moves from place to place. It's not cinematic smooth as it follows the object. I'm sure they'll be releasing firmware updates that'll probably smooth that out in the future, but for now it does follow the object. You're just not going to get silky smooth transition as it follows the object. But after all, this is a security camera, and its main job is to focus in on the person or the vehicle to give you a clear look of exactly what's going on around your property. Now, I've already told you, and you can obviously see that this camera has two different lenses. They both record simultaneously. All the videos I've showed you so far were from the wide-angle lens, but it also has a telephoto lens. It's optically zoomed in closer than what the wide-angle is, but then it can also digitally zoom in. So as this camera is following the object, you get a wide-angle view of what's happening, but then with the telephoto lens, you also get a zoomed-in view. This camera was obviously designed as a security camera, and it does an excellent job at that, but you know the hunting farmer could not resist using this as a cellular trail camera. Now remember, this camera actually pans and tilts automatically, so that has the potential, and it will scare wild animals in certain situations. I placed this over a mineral lick to help minimize that scaring. If an animal is focused in on food or minerals, it has less potential of being scared by this moving. But check out some of this footage over a mineral lick with the TrackMix from Reolink. So again, I was impressed. I thought that was some great footage that this camera captured. The deer definitely noticed it as it was moving, but I think the key was having it over a food source or a mineral lick, or maybe over a licking branch, something like that that has their attention already occupied and they don't notice the movement quite as much. I must say that the camera isn't extremely noisy when it does pan and tilt. Actually, on the videos, you can hear it as it moves some. Now, I will say when you're standing next to the camera, it makes virtually zero noise as it pans and tilts. It really is quiet as a whisper, but it does show up some on the audio as it moves. You do hear it, and obviously the animals can see the camera physically moving side to side and up and down. So probably not ideal for a trail camera, but it does give some amazingly clear and zoomed in footage that you probably can't get with any other camera. Now, another thing that I will touch on is the camera's audio. It has amazing audio. You can pick up every sound, ambient sound, or if you're using it as a security camera, you can easily hear people talking or any noise that's going on. It has a great microphone that translates over into the recorded videos. So it is now time for my final thoughts. I'm going to give you the pros and cons as I see it after actually using that camera for nearly 2 months. Number one, that enlarged solar panel has kept after. This camera, again, remember, records videos both daytime and nighttime, anytime there's activity. I've had nearly 1,000 videos recorded by this camera in that 2-month period, and I had no trouble with the battery staying fully charged. So that enlarged solar panel, included with the built-in lithium rechargeable batteries inside the camera, no troubles for me. Another thing for the positive column is the power connection between the solar panel and the camera. There's a short lead on the camera, and the solar panel has a Type-C USB connection. In my opinion, that is superior and better than the older Reolinks who had the micro USB connection. In the older cameras, that micro USB had to be plugged into a port directly in the camera, and that point of connection was prone to trouble. The TrackMix now has a short lead coming from the camera, so the port isn't directly on the side of the camera, and also has a watertight seal for that Type-C connection. So that, in my opinion, is a huge upgrade, and I see that eliminating a lot of problems with charging these cameras via the solar panel. Another positive for me is the video quality. Absolutely stunning. As you've been seeing with the sample videos that I have already shown, it is crystal clear video that this camera delivers. So if you're using this as a security camera, you're not only going to get some amazing video, it's going to be helpful in identifying either people or vehicles any other type of action that's happening at your property or wherever you place this camera. Another positive is that tracking feature. How amazing is the technology that these cameras can actually follow and zoom in on objects or people or cars as they go past the camera. Another positive is something that I have not even touched on yet, and that is its white LEDs. This camera has the option to turn on those white LEDs, and that will give you color videos at night. It's like a spotlight coming out of this camera. Now, all the examples that I showed you were from the infrared, which is definitely more conspicuous and more hidden for security reasons. But if you need color videos or the white spotlight at night, you have the option to turn that on or off. This camera is capable of doing time lapses. You can also schedule when you want this camera to be active. If you don't want it to be in standby 24/7 ready to take a video, you can tell it what hours of the day you want it to be active, and it'll only detect motion during those hours. Also, through the app, you can set zones where you don't want the camera to trigger. You may be placing this near a roadway and traffic going past. You can block off that side of the camera's detection range and it will not detect motion in that area. You can also set presets on how far you want this camera to pan left and right. Maybe you only want the camera to pan so far in a certain area. Through the app, you can put in presets on left and right maximums, and the camera will not pan past those two areas. So it truly is amazing the amount of customization that this camera offers, and I put that in the positive column. Now, are there any negatives or cons that I detected after using this camera? Well, operation-wise, this camera worked exactly as it was advertised. A couple of things do come to mind. One is its built-in mount. It has no adjustability for levelness. So you want to mount this camera as level as possible, or else your videos are going to be tilted from side to side. Now remember, this camera automatically pans left and right and up and down, but if you have the camera mounted crooked, you're going to get crooked videos. So now that's not a huge deal breaker, but just keep in mind, because the mount is built into the camera, when you mount it, you want to have it as level as possible. The last con I'll talk about is the same as the first. It's not a deal breaker, but this camera offers built-in antennas. There are two of them, and they cannot be easily removed or replaced as far as I can see. In most of the older Reolinks, you had this screw-in type antenna. Now, it may have been one of their weaker points, or if animals hung on them, they could break, but you were able to replace that with maybe an aftermarket antenna that got even better signal, or with the factory OEM antennas. This camera has built-in antennas, and although I had no issues with breakage over the 2 months of use that I've had the camera, I don't see a way that they can be easily replaced or easily upgraded. So those were my final thoughts. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Obviously, I could not cover all the features in this relatively short video, so if you have questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. I encourage you to put them down in the comment section. I love hearing from you, and I try and get back to each and every one of you. I'll be placing a link down in the description to this camera with its solar panel, and I'll also put a link to that EIoT Club SIM card that's compatible with this camera. So if you want more information, or maybe you'd like to purchase one for yourself, please follow my link down in the description. I do get a small commission, and it helps me continue to bring reviews just like this. I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.